Hollow Knight is a game that I haven't stopped raving about since I first played it last year. Whenever someone asks me for a game recommendation, Hollow Knight is what I tell them. It's just a perfect storm of a game. It drew me in right away, and it kept me around for its challenging combat, its unique story, and its music. Oh my god, its music. It's so good, I had to buy 3 different records of it. It's crazy. I even bought the game a second time because I really wanted that Switch Collector's Edition. It's just... I made a video about Psychonauts a while ago where I say that it's a perfect game. Well, I feel the same exact way about Hollow Knight. Every single aspect of the game speaks to me in a different way, and together they paint one of the most beautiful pictures that I have ever seen. So, with the game's sequel, Silksong, coming sometime in the near future, hopefully, now is the perfect time for me to nerd out a little bit and talk about Hollow Knight. Approaching this video, I honestly don't know where to begin. There's just so much I want to talk about, but I also don't want to spoil anything, so it's kind of a tough tightrope to walk. But I guess the best place to start is at the beginning. Hollow Knight was first released in 2017, but its story goes back further, all the way to 2013. 2 game devs, Ari Gibson and William Pellin, were competing together in a game jam. Together, they built a game called Hungry Knight, which features a nameless knight killing bugs to fend off starvation. The game didn't do all that well, but from it was born the idea for something greater. Through several more game jams together, the duo kept creating games and growing an idea. The idea of an underground kingdom, inhabited by bugs and home to something much darker. In 2014, Hollow Knight was announced on Kickstarter. It raised about $42,000, exceeding its asking price, and it allowed for more members to be hired to the team. From there, the devs put the axe to the grindstone and worked hard to create the game that we have now. Over the course of a few years, a lot changed in the game. Most of these changes were documented through early alpha and beta builds, but they all went into creating an unforgettable story, which goes a little something like this. Spoiler free, of course. A nameless knight wanders into the small town of Dirtmouth. They have no memories as to who they are or where they came from. The town's mayor speaks of a kingdom called Hollow Nest, lost in ruins deep beneath the town. Without a further thought, the knight sets off, delving deep and searching to uncover the mysteries of the fallen kingdom, and maybe to uncover fragments of themselves. In a similar vein to games like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, the game's story is left mostly to context, never truly guiding the player or providing information, instead letting the player explore and uncover what they will. That doesn't mean the story isn't there. In fact, the story is everywhere, in conversation and lore fragments, and before the player's eyes. The game doesn't hide information, it simply lets the player play and learn at their own pace. Uncovering the story isn't easy, however. There's a lot standing in the way. Enemies, bosses, and the scariest thing of all, platforming. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania game, meaning that the player is often left to backtrack as new abilities and items are uncovered. The game takes inspiration from many classic games, but the Mega Man series was particularly crucial when making the game's controls. In William Pellin's words from a Game Informer interview in 2018, "We wanted players to feel totally in control of their character at all times, so our model for movement was the Mega Man and Mega Man X series. The Knight has no acceleration or deceleration on horizontal movement. The jump has a lot of initial lift, releasing the button cuts vertical speed quickly, and the dash completely arrests vertical movement, shooting you forward instantly. The reasoning for this, as Pellin puts it, is so that any time the player could get hit or make a mistake, it would be avoidable until the final moment. I find that this is an essential part of the Hollow Knight experience. The game certainly isn't easy, in fact, it's far from it. It can be incredibly difficult at times, but that difficulty is controllable based on trial and error on the player's part. With every mistake, you get better, and the next time you face a challenge, it will be easier because of what you've learned. There are a number of unlockable abilities and upgrades that make the game easier as you progress. The game also features badges which grant the player certain bonuses based on what they have equipped. Now, the world of Hollow Knight is massive, and I won't show the map for spoiler reasons, but the world's design is an essential part of the game, so I do want to talk about it. The world is split up into a bunch of different areas, each with their own aesthetics and enemies. The areas are designed in such a way that it's easy to get lost, but that's actually a good thing. I'll never forget one of my first experiences with this game was accidentally wandering into a really difficult area extremely early because I just happened to stumble across the back door. It's extremely freeing to not feel like the game is forcing you down a certain path, even if there is a path the game wants you to take. It's okay to wander and to get lost because you just might find things that you didn't expect. Navigation does get easier as the game goes on. Maps can be purchased which show the layouts of the different areas, and badges can be equipped to help traverse the landscape, which is dotted with traps and enemies and locked doors. Lots and lots of locked doors. But don't worry, every door has a key. The whole world is put together with Ari Gibson's striking art, which is hand-drawn and then scanned into the game, giving it a natural sense of depth and a sort of unpolished texture which really defines the style of the game. But what ties the game together for me, the characters, the story, the world, literally everything, is the game's amazing score composed by Christopher Larkin. The score takes the beautiful world and gives it a mood and a feeling, and it does its job so excellently that even standing still, you can feel the pull of the world. A score can be bland and not make or break a game, but a good score elevates the game to the next level and makes you keep coming back for more. It is genuinely the best study music I have ever found, so if any of y'all out there are students, turn on this OST and you will be whisked away to Studyville. But enough of that, it's time to answer the big question. Should you play this game? To which I have to give a big, resounding yes. Hollow Knight is a game that can offer something to anyone. It can be difficult, but it isn't unforgiving. It gives the player a chance to learn and grow as the characters grow. Exploring the deep and sometimes dark places of Hollow Nest is a genuinely magical experience. But the best part about the game, the reason to play the game above all else, is to get lost in something so entirely unique and original. The kind of game that will have an impact on the way you look at all games that come after. So yes, definitely play Hollow Knight. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. There are links to those here, and then there's a link to my channel over there. So just click one of those and see where it takes you. Okay, y'all. Peace out. I'll catch you on the flip side.